Aloha, namaste. This is Alexis with Radha Home Yoga, and I'm here to give us our forecast for our full moon. It's coming up here on Monday, August 3rd. It's going to be at 8:59 a.m., so the exact degrees of the moon and sun being apart from each other or across from each other is at 8:59 a.m. So, of course, Sunday night will be the fullest, that we will see the moon. And that's Pacific Standard Time. I'm here in California, and at the moment I'm in Joshua Tree, which is a really wonderful place to be for the full moon, not only because you can see the sky really well, so you can see the moon, although there's been some fires in the nearby area, and you can see the sky is really trippy right now. I'll give you a little look so you can see. Woo! And yes, it is starting to be sunset, but the sky's been like that pretty much all day from nearby fire. So this full moon is in sidereal Capricorn, and it is right in the middle at 17 degrees where we have the nakshatra, the star Shravana. And Shravana is literally to listen, it's to hear. It's symbolized by an ear. It's ruled by Vishnu, who is the sustaining presence of the universe. And it is, the root is actually shru, which is to hear, to listen. And it's really where we want to listen deeper than the surface of things. So we don't want to just hear all the noise. We don't want to just hear the conversations that are happening, on level. We want to sit with what we're listening to, and we want to find out what's deeper beneath it. What's the real message? What is the real lesson? What are we missing when we just constantly engage in chatter? We have a lot of chatter right now. The North Node has been in Gemini for a year and a half, and there's just been a lot of noise and a lot of chaos, especially in the mental realm. So if we can take a moment, and you might not be able to come to Joshua Tree, you might not even be able to find a real natural haven to go to, but surely you can find some place of quiet where you can just sit for maybe even 5 minutes, but preferably, 30 minutes or an hour, and just allow yourself to hear what's coming up from inside, to hear what's coming up from outside as well, from all the different creatures, all the different plants, all the different energies of all the other humans on Earth. There's so much that we engage in that we miss a lot of what's really there, a lot of what we could be hearing. So Shravana is beautiful for that. It's also a wonderful time for mantra, for listening to healing music. If you have, crystal bowls or sound healing, anything like that, didgeridoos is a really magical time for that as well. So if you can immerse yourself, please do. The sun and the moon are across from each other in 17 degrees, Capricorn and Cancer conversely, but the planets Mercury and Saturn are also right across from each other in the same signs, but much further apart. They're like 3 degrees. So we have Saturn in Capricorn in his own sign joined the moon, and we have Mercury in Cancer joined the sun. So we see that this, first of all, Saturn just being on the moon can create an energy of pressure, fear. It can make us feel like we only have so much time and we really have to get certain things done. But the moon is actually passing through that portal pretty much right now, like a little bit after I make this video. So it's going to be past Saturn, and we won't feel as much pressure at the point of the actual full moon on Monday morning. What we're really going to see is that Saturn energy right on Mercury, which is right across the way, right? So the degrees are going to be exact. And we'll see that maybe with our speech, maybe with what we say, we're a little more cautious, a little more fearful. We might even have more fearful messages to pass on. So this is another really good reason to sit, because Saturn at its highest level, at its highest degrees or intelligence, is quiet. It's where we meditate. It's where we do listen, and where we sort of lose our attachments to the material world and lose our attachments to all these things that we're so engaged in, and realize that ultimately we're going to die one day, and ultimately all of this here that we're living is temporary. And so we need to hold each moment, and we need to find the part of us that can make peace with that, so that we can live fully while we're here and not constantly in this panic, stressed out mode where we're being chased by death, but more like an awareness and acceptance of it. And knowing it could happen at any time also gives us an idea of the fact that we can, you know, we don't know. We don't know how much time we have. So if we can drop into the time we do have, we can sort of expand it. And people always wonder about that with meditation. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do my practice. The thing is when you do, you realize that you really can expand time. Whenever I meditate first thing in the morning, I actually have a longer day. And it's because I'm not spending so much time stressed out. I'm not spending so much time with time chasing me. I have more openness within every moment because I've allowed myself that first moment of the day to be more opening. So it's a great time to really detox from the social media. Turn off your phone if you can. If you're lucky enough to be somewhere like where I am, your phone won't even work. And you can really just take in the sounds, take in the quiet, take in your own inner experience. And the Saturn on Mercury will help with that as well, because it might naturally sort of silence you. You might be questioning a lot of what you might say. You might not really want to type those things out on Facebook as much, or even speak your mind to people that are in person or in front of you or on the phone. So it might be a really sweet opportunity for you to take that silence with your words as well. When Mercury is in Cancer, we have a tendency to have very emotional speech, and it can be debilitating. It can literally cause us to be so emotional in our mental realm that we lose sight of what's actually being said, and we feel like everything is sort of either nurturing us or not nurturing us, and it can become really challenging, especially when Mercury's close to the Sun, which they're not actually that close right now. They're about 14 degrees apart, so it's not a combustion where the Sun is right on top of Mercury. But when they are a little bit closer together, you can feel that feeling that you're not being heard or you're not being listened to, and that can make you get even more emotional and sometimes very passive aggressive coming from that. So it's an interesting alignment right now with this full moon, because the full moons usually are sort of big and an opportunity to engage and be social. And this one really, we could benefit from a little bit more quiet and a little bit more silence. Mercury did just move out of his own sign of Gemini and therefore away from the North Node. But we have Venus and the North Node now in Gemini. And Venus has been in her own sign of Taurus for a really long time. So this is a new shift. And they're pretty much in exact degrees there as well. So you see that we might have a really strong focus or part of us that's really obsessing over what makes us happy right now. Maybe obsessing over relationships, over communicating with someone that we really like, or having friendly conversation where we actually make amends and get along. But certainly, Venus, more than anything, is where we want pleasure, where we want happiness, where we want to connect with other people because they bring us happiness. And in the sign of Gemini, it becomes very cerebral and very, very communicative and talkative. So if we can sort of recognize that part and incorporate it into the silence I just discussed, where you're taking that time for yourself to really align your own feelings and your own mindset, so that when you are engaging with others, you're coming from your best self. It's not just the spew that comes as soon as you hear something, or that reactivity that so often comes. With Rahu on Venus, unfortunately, we also have a lot of illusion and a lot of delusion. So that obsessive quality of Rahu just wants and wants and wants and wants, and doesn't really see things as they are. So be careful about really, not understanding what's going on with other people in relationships, especially romantic relationships, seeing things different than how they truly are, and magnifying that and creating a whole story around it, and maybe even some dialogue around that as well. So again, dropping into the silence is key here. Mars is giving drishti to that house, but it's pretty far away at this point. Mars is at the end of Pisces in Revati. So we see another opportunity here for us to go real deep. Revati is the very last nakshatra. It's where we're walking ourselves home. It's where we're finding that peace at the end of all the struggle, and we're learning to surrender. And we're learning to surrender in a way where we are the struggle is over, and we are magnanimous enough in spirit where we can carry those around us. The deity is Pushan, and he's the shepherd, and he's literally walking the animals, shepherding the animals to their home, which of course is that peace in our heart. So if we can be that spiritual warrior, if we can take the Mars energy of discipline, of action, of courage, and use it to really walk that spiritual walk at this point, we can have all these alignments come together to really bless us in our own personal state, which of course is how we meet other people. The more we meet other people in a state where we ourselves have taken care of ourselves, the more likely we are to be able to engage with them in a good way. Even if somebody else is totally spun out and really triggered, if you yourself are very calm, more than likely you're going to be a balm, like a healing balm for that person. You're going to activate them like the way a crystal would, where your energy is calming to them. So they come out of their triggered space instead of everything building and getting more and more crazy and more chaotic. So that's something to also realize. We have a lot of opportunities right now to activate ourselves and create a lot of space, because the rest of this year we're going into has a lot more alignments that could potentially create stress for us. So the more we can use what is strong and what is stabilizing for ourselves right now, the better. The more that we can sort of not get caught up in the drama and tune into our own world, the more likely we are to persevere and even thrive in the months to come. We do have a lot more coming up, and I don't want to make this particular video too long, but right now Jupiter is in his own sign of Sagittarius, retrograde, so we still have that energy of Jupiter near Ketu, except for, again, the distance is really far. So some of these alignments, like Rahu on Venus, it's right there. Mercury across from Saturn is right there. Moon and Sun, obviously, if it's a full moon, they're exactly across from each other. But other ones of these are really far from each other, and that makes a big difference in how we feel them energetically. So we have an opportunity here for that Jupiter, even though it's retrograde, to really internalize our belief systems and really figure out the end of this Gemini-Sagittarius axis. What do we believe and why? If you don't know why you believe what you believe, if you can't clearly explain it to, say, your best friend and tell them, hey, this is what I believe, this is why I believe it, and these are my different points on that, and then also hold space for whatever they believe, you really don't know why you believe what you believe. At that point, your trigger is coming from the fact that you, in fact, don't know why you believe what you believe, but you've been told it somewhere down the line, and it's very important to you that it continues to be true, because everything you're taking in on the Rahu end in Gemini informationally relies on that belief you have holding in Sagittarius. And I've been talking about this ad nauseum the last few videos because it's really fundamentally important, and we're almost out of this axis. We're moving into a new axis where Rahu is in Taurus, Ketu is in Scorpio. A lot of potential in this axis. It is considered exalted for a really good reason. Rahu is that airy energy. It's the big open mouth, just waiting to voraciously eat everything it can. And what that's looked like has been information, facts, data. I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this because I read this and this and this and this. But we're not realizing that everything we're taking in informationally and also putting out is coming from what we believe in Sagittarius, where our beliefs are. But our beliefs are rarely founded on deep personal spiritual work. Our beliefs are more often than not founded on things we were told in childhood, things we saw in childhood, things we were around in childhood, and then maybe some specific beliefs we've picked up along the way that we've chosen to take into our world. But those also came from something that we learned at a very young age that had us attract to that, whether we were repelling what we were taught as children or whether we were magnetized to more of that thing. So one way or another, if you don't understand why you believe what you believe, you don't understand much. You don't get why you think what you think. And what you think and what you believe are very tied together. And they're not spiritual, it's not wisdom, and it's not even knowledge if you don't get that part straight. And unfortunately, with so many people sort of jumping on each other's boats of, I'm on this team, I'm on this team, most people don't really even bother to think past it because it's like, oh, well, I just have this tribe of people who agree with me and those people are wrong, and that's all I need to know. Well, that's fine if you want to continue to live a very surface life and you want to continue to contribute to the noise and chaos in the world. But if you want to be a truly spiritual person and you want to actually change your life and the world around you in a good way, in a positive way, you need to do that work. And when the nodes switch, which is going to be September 19th, we'll see Rahu start to really ground in Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. It's a fixed earth sign. It's where we literally put our hands in the earth and grow things. It's where we plant gardens. It's where we nurture our body and our physical needs, our material needs in very lovely ways, in ways that feel good to us and others. And this is very important. When we start to feel that airy Vata, Rahu craziness settle a little bit, we might still have that obsessive quality, but the obsession now is in the physical realm, and we can actually do something with it. We can actually physically put our hands in the earth, because right now we've been sort of trapped in our homes with the internet, and that all we can do is think what we think and have an opinion and then jump on someone else who has a different opinion. But that's not really super proactive. Of course, a lot of people have chosen to garden, they have chosen to, make their art or take classes or do things to really nurture themselves in this time. But the overall energy has been one that's been chaotic and very much about the realm of ideas and words and not a lot of action. People maybe had, either not any money or maybe extra money. People, were either worried about work or not worried about work. Whatever the different situation was, it was still a lot in the mental realm. And we're moving into the physical realm because the nodes move backwards. So our karmic energy in this next cycle is one that's going to focus on the earth and on our community, our ability to be in community, our ability to work with ourselves and our own family and those immediately around us to provide for ourselves and to provide for ourselves in harmonious ways. The South Node is going to move out of that Sagittarius realm where it's fire out in the world, trying to find its ideas, trying to find its beliefs through other cultures, through different belief systems that we hold in this sort of preaching way, into the place of Scorpio, where our deep shadow work lies, where we have to go to the places we're really afraid to go, where we have to go into the dark, where we have to see ourselves as these insect people that are magnified as these monstrous, crazy dragons, but really they're just little tiny insects. And those deep, dark fears of ourselves and of others that really, once we shine the light on them, aren't nearly as scary as we think they are. That's what we got to go, and that's what we have to do. And K2 is the perfect node to do that. The nodes of the moon are not physical bodies. They're mathematically figured out places in the sky and in time where we are able to see eclipses occur. So that's when the moon, the sun, and the earth will line up, is when they're in those placements. So they move into an axis, and from here on forward, all of our eclipses that are in Scorpio Taurus, all of our full and new moons that are Scorpio Taurus, that will be an eclipse. And how close they are to the node will depend on how full, how total of an eclipse it is or not. So our first series of these is going to be in end of November will be the lunar eclipse, and then December 14th will be the solar eclipse. So we'll see that really start to activate that cycle. But even right now, when we're still definitely fully in the Gemini Sagittarius, we can see ourselves moving into that space. And we have to tie up the end of this Gemini Sagittarius if we want to complete some karma here. And the karma that's completing is on K2 end. So we're completing the part with the beliefs, the place where we have to understand why we believe what we believe. We'll never understand why we're attracted to the information we're attracted to if we don't understand why we believe what we believe. It's fundamental. And so now's the time to ask yourself, maybe in that silence that you're sitting in your quiet Shravana full moon, maybe you can sit and ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe? Without anyone else listening or judging, without having to virtue signal or anything else, just allowing yourself to truly be honest with yourself about your beliefs, why you believe them, where they came from. Do the work, travel there, go there and figure it out. And what you find will be amazing. If you are not already a subscriber to my newsletter, I have the new report already running for Rahu in Taurus, K2 and Scorpio for each of the 12 rising signs, because it's so important to know exactly what house is being affected in your chart. It makes all the difference in the world, whether it's your first house if you're Taurus, whether it's your 12th house if you're Gemini. Aquarius, each one of us, it's a totally different part of our life that's going to be affected and lit up. So please, please sign up for that at radhahomeyoga.com and you will get that report. And I still am running the one of Saturn in Capricorn for all 12 signs. I did that one starting in January, and Saturn stays in a sign for 2.5 years. So it's still relevant for a really long time. But I am going to stop the report in September because I'm going to do just the nodal axis one for a while, and then a Jupiter one when that happens. So for right now, you can get both of them. If you haven't gotten the Saturn in Capricorn yet, you can, align yourself with that. You can get Rahu in Taurus, K2 in Scorpio. If you're already on my email list, you've gotten both of these already. And please, if you like this video, like it, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or again, the website and my newsletters come out every couple weeks. I hope that this is a blessed full moon for you and that you're really able to drop into that space and hear what you need to hear to move forward and complete this karma. Namaste.